we'll start recording here, but would you like tequila or whiskey?
Oh, whiskey. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry that we're starting fucking 2 hours later than I said we would. Yeah, I fucking went and saw the shrink, and then I completely, well, granted, I didn't forget, but, nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Thank God we're low budget.
I was gonna say, you act like this table hasn't had like.
I'm pretty sure I fucking set fires on this table one time, dude. Like small ones, but just fucked up with a match and
Tequila.
spray deodorant. Yeah.
And a fever dream.
But so I got out of my appointment, and then I was like, "Fuck, am I on call?" So because my bosses forgot to tell me, because they told me like at the beginning of the week that I might be, but they never actually confirmed it.
That's
so I was
shitty.
like, "Yeah, it's fucking gay." So I was like, "All right." So I texted him and I was like, "Hey, like, am I on call this weekend? Like, is this my deal?" And like, "Yes, it is." And I'm like, "Well, it would have been nice to let me know or to give me the specific phone, wherever the specific phone went." That's your phone, right?
Si, senor.
Ah, fuck it, it'll be fine. I think it's upstairs. Fuck it. And then so I had to run back to the office, grab my shit, go to the gym, then go back to the office to get my food that I left, and then fuck. I think I left my food in the fucking car.
Better go check.
Yeah, I'm gonna go grab that, bro.
That'd be fun waking up.
See, that's the consequences of being stupid. Is you forget your fucking food in the car. And then what you had witnessed. Well, first of all, cheers.
Cheers,
Cheers,
buddy.
buddy. So then I get home, and I get a fucking call. Well, I saw a missed call. I was like, shit. Don't do it, please. And so I see a missed call, and I'm like, all right. And the missed call is from a lady that works at my company, and one of her sisters or her only sister or whatever is a new staff. And the way we have one of these houses set up is, and I don't agree with it for a lot of reasons, but one of the things we have set up is they have this girl stay at the house all weekend. And I'm like, yo, what if she calls out?
Just lives there the
What
whole
if she
time.
yeah. So, like, it's not an uncommon thing in this industry, but it's like, I don't like it because, like, tonight, if she were to call out, that's not just covering one shift or three, it's 6.
3 days, yeah.
It's 6 shifts. So, sure enough, so I called this girl, and she's like, hey, my sister, who's the one living in the house, my sister's daughter just got in a car accident. She was hoping to get replaced. I'm like, oh, fuck. So I make all these calls, and I set up all this stuff. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. I get it covered, right?
Yeah.
So I call the girl, and I'm like, hey, I got told what's going on. I'm sorry to hear that, but we got you covered. I'm going to go pick up your relief because, of course, the lady that's going to relieve her doesn't have a fucking car.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's a fucking mess, dude. It's a mess. So I'm like, I'm going to go pick her up. I'm going to drop her off the house. It takes me 20 minutes to get there. This house to your house is fucking 20 minutes. Give me 45 minutes.
Yeah,
And then
I know where this is going.
And I'll be there. Yeah. And she goes, no, I'm fine.
No, never mind.
And I'm like, what are you talking
All
about?
that logistics, all that work, getting people ready.
Well, it's not even that, right? Because it wasn't a whole lot of chutes and ladders. It was just, it's really easy as long as everyone said yes, and everyone did, thank God. Because if they didn't, it would have been like, well, what the fuck do we do now?
You're going.
Yeah, well, literally. Because at the house where she was about to leave, there's a house manager, right? And, of course, I told the house manager that he could leave for the weekend because we were covered and we were all good. I was like, yeah, dude, we're fine, whatever.
Did you get, like, your own room, or do you have to, like, bunk with, like, the senior citizens and, like, fight for, like, top or bottom bunk?
No, it'd be on the fucking couch. But so, yeah, she's like, yeah, no, I'm good. And I'm like, no, you're not. Like, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Like, we've got it covered. And she's no. I spoke to the doctors, and my daughter's okay. So I'm thinking, like, it was just like a concussion or a couple of nicks and bumps. And I'm like, are you sure? She goes, yeah, I mean, she's in the ICU, but she's going to be okay. And I'm like, bitch, what are you talking about? So I was like, hey, listen, like, no, seriously, like, we have this covered. Don't worry about it. Like, and if you're worried about losing hours, like, it's okay. Like, we're going to make up your hours of the week. It's not a problem. Like, don't stress. Like, I will get you out of this. It's okay. She goes, no, I'm really okay. And I'm like,
So either she's like extremely crazy and like doesn't care, or it was an excuse from the beginning and now she like didn't want it. So she's like, oh yeah, no, that was all true, but like never mind.
Well, see, and that's my thing is
like
I don't
if
want
your
to.
daughter's in the ICU from a car accident,
Right.
straight trauma,
Right.
like you don't go to the ICU for no reason.
Right.
You go for brain bleeds, or you go for
Yeah.
bad stuff.
Yeah. So I'm like, I thought about that too when we got off the phone. I was like, I don't want to think the worst of people. I try not to. Anyway.
Yeah, I hope she was trying to make an excuse and then just decided that she didn't want to anymore.
Well, no, I would hope that like, obviously her daughter's okay and that like, it's not a real thing. But it's like, fuck, like, why would you lie about that?
The podcast is brought to you by one of our brand new sponsors, Bucked Up Nutrition. Look, it's no secret that I love going to the gym. Fitness and nutrition is a huge part of my life. And Bucked Up has partnered up with the podcast, help support it. I cannot be more excited. This is one of my favorite workouts. It's a high stimulant nootropic. I'm hitting PRs today, so I cannot wait to use this. The Banff Black by Bucked Up Nutrition. They've also got, as you can see, some awesome clothing here. With my t-shirts, I personally prefer the short logo here. Use our promo code at checkout, OKPod20, to get 20% off of awesome clothes, supplements, all their products here to include their stacks. That's OKPod20, another awesome stringer here for an additional discount at checkout.
You know what I mean?
What's that saying? It's like if you just like make the lie so over the top, it just has to be believable at that point.
Well, that's not even over the top. That's a very believable thing, especially in this city where it's like a bunch of people. And I got this call.
But like the over top comes from, yeah, she's in the ICU now.
Well, again, because I got the call after fucking 7:30. That's drinking hours.
Right.
It's Friday night in Albuquerque, and people suck at driving sober, let alone drunk. So I was like, yeah, that's actually quite believable. But whatever. People are fucking crazy. But on the flip side, I fucking hate my job. I hate the field that I'm in. But you are one of like the few people that I know, not even like in our age group, but just like in general, where you actually like your job.
Yeah, no,
It's
I do.
very strange.
I do like my job.
It's very strange. And you decided to say fuck college and fuck doing all that. I'm gonna get into trades, which is very smart in my opinion, coming from someone who's in college right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was one of those things. It's like you get out of high school, you work your, first minimum wage shitty job.
Which was
AutoZone.
right.
Dude, I killed that place. I was a manager at that place. I freaking killed that place. But then I got moved to the South Valley, and then people would come in with guns and knives, and
Right.
I was like, okay, I'm done with this. So I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then from there, I went and I had a friend at the time, and he was trying to start like a mobile detailing business. So I was going to like hop on and help with him, and that ended up going well. So then it was kind of like, man, what do I do now? And it's like, okay, well, I like expensive stuff. I've got expensive taste.
Yeah, I feel that. I fucking
And it's
feel
like,
that.
I don't want to go back to school. Because for me, I mean, I know a lot of people like excel in school. They do really well in school. I mean, my mom's one of those persons, gets degree after degree after degree after degree after degree, like you have to start moving them onto another wall and stuff like that. But I was like, I just can't. To me, it doesn't seem like a waste of time, but almost like I have to wait X amount of time to go and find that money using the degree. I have to go through at least, 4 years of school, and that's 4 years that I could, go out and already be doing something. And then it's like, depending on what fields you get into, it's like you can do 4 years and then go do an apprenticeship somewhere that's a lot of times is unpaid. And then you can go make money. So it's like by the time you start making money, start investing in a retirement, you're, my age now, but you just started.
At absolute
absolute best.
You're like 22, 23.
Yeah, and that's like, that's absolute best.
Right.
So I was like, I just don't want to do that. Like, I just want to get on and get something going now. And yeah, I went to the trades, man. Easy trades though. Like I'm barely blue collar, barely.
You see, your hands are still a little bit clean at the end of the day.
Yeah. I still just do low voltage and fiber work. Like it's.
Well, I mean, it's
not a lineman or anything.
I feel like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, trades were still kind of looked at as like the lower class job,
I think it still kind of is, to be honest.
Like the grunt work. But I mean, here's the thing. I kind of had that mindset for a long time too, especially when I was growing up. I was like, oh, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do all that. But like,
I don't know if that ever happened to you, but have you ever been like, either with your parents or just with someone that was much older when you were a kid, and there'd be like guys on the side of the road that were, doing road work or something like that, and be like, see, little Timmy, this is why you need to do really good in school and go to college, because if not, you'll end up like them. The only problem is that dude was still making more money than your parents were.
oh yeah, for sure. But now like it hit me. It hit me about a week ago. I went to go visit my buddy in the hospital. And as I'm leaving, I drove by, obviously, where they're building that new part of... Or no, I walked by it because I had to walk to my parking garage. And that new part of UNMH is a building.
Oh, okay.
Right?
I thought you were going to say up by the Uptown. They're doing
No,
that
no,
stuff
no.
over
Yeah,
there too.
the UNMH, where they're building that whole new, like,
Yeah.
building.
Whole add-on.
Yeah. And I looked at that, and I was like... I mean, it's a skeleton right now, right? It's a skeleton with a little bit of like tendons and ligaments on it. There's not actually any muscle yet. But I look at it and I'm like, people are building that. Like, we're in such a digital age where you just point and click and you just order things and they just appear, right? They might as well spawn at this point with the fucking Amazon drones, right? Yeah. But I look at that and I was like, yeah, we have advanced machinery. Obviously, we have an array of tools and fucking vehicles and all that shit, but like people built that.
Yeah, and you still have some crazy iron worker that is just walking those beams and climbs the beams, sets it,
right,
bolts it together, and that's how those things are still put up to this day.
And it's absolutely insane to me.
Yeah, those guys are insane.
When the fact that like people still sign up to do that, and they do it, obviously they do it quite well. And it's still looked at as like that's the job for the dumb people.
Yeah,
like
the uneducated.
Right. At a certain point, you can't be stupid when doing that job.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Or you die.
You cannot be untrained, or other people die.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because I was thinking about that, right? Actually, it's funny you say that. Fuck. I burped so hard I fell, bro. Oh shit.
I thought you were going down.
No, so I was thinking about it, and I was like, okay, if I don't know what about it stuck with me, but I really got like lost in thought for a little bit. That happened to you, like randomly, just, like you like go down a rabbit hole in your own brain.
That's why I can't sleep. Yeah, I'll have just some stupid thought in my head, and it's like, if I don't know the answer to this, I can't sleep. So I'm gonna have to sit here on Google at 1 o'clock in the morning until I figure out the answer of this, and then I can go to sleep.
Well, yeah, I was thinking exactly like that.
Yeah,
and I was like, what if these people really were as untrained, uneducated as the modern the average American sees them as? What they finish right under the scenario, quote unquote, finish the hospital. 6 months. A year goes by, people are walking, things are being slammed, elevators are going up and down, all of these, a lot of happenings are going on.
Yeah,
and
there's still engineers that have to put
but
all that together that are still educated, and
a part of the hospital just collapses.
Yeah.
Then it's like, oh fuck. You know what I mean? But you have to have faith that stuff's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? But it's crazy to me. And then you bring up the point where it's like, you go to college and a lot of the things you do in college are unpaid. You're actively going into debt. And then and then you get out, and then a lot of especially now, unless you're doing like going into medical school, or you go into nursing, or you becoming an athlete. So you get your bullshit degree so you could be an athlete, and hopefully you get into something major, or you get some absolutely just stellar financial degree and you get into that whole ecosystem.
Yeah, it's gotta be pretty specialized.
Well, it's sad because there's not a whole lot out there anymore for college degrees. They're becoming obsolete.
Well, they're just super saturated because everybody's parent or anybody that ever gave any advice, like, that was the thing you do.
Right.
And everybody took the advice.
Bring that a little closer to you.
My bad.
Yeah, you're good.
And just everybody took the advice. So, it's kind of a saturated market.
Well, and then I think about
if you think about it that way.
Well, I think about it, and I've got a associate's degree in criminal justice, which is the equivalent of a participation trophy. It takes literally nothing to get it, right?
Sounds cool.
To the uneducated. But, I only have an associate's, and then I'm working towards a degree in film, right? So I understand there's a bit of hypocrisy in what I'm saying, but it's at least I'm studying something that I enjoy.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm going through all of this, and I know what my official education level is, right? And I look at some of my friends that have gone and they did what they were supposed to do. They left high school, they went to a good college, they went and got their degrees. And I don't make a whole lot of money, which is sad. Like in comparison to like other education levels, I'm not making a whole lot of coin, but I'm still making just as, if not slightly more than my friends. And the only ones that are making a substantial amount more money than I am got their, like, they're going into medical stuff. They're going into like deep science degrees and like microbiology and like they're going to be fucking nerds for the rest of their lives. And I love that for them.
It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money, to get to that point too. So
Right. But at least in those fields, when you get into your job, it immediately starts paying dividends.
Yeah.
But if you get a business degree or a fucking women's studies degree, you're doing fucking underwater basket weaving.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
No, I just think it's sad, and it's a fucking
and that's the
racket.
case. It's like I know a lot of people, that were, like they had this plan. It's like they got out of high school, they secured, $150,000 loan at 18, which is insane, by the way. It's like you're basically, if you think about it this way, you're giving an 18-year-old kid, and I remember myself at 18, just stupid. You're giving them the ability to finance, if you think about it, a Lamborghini and be like, this kid will definitely pay it back at some point.
Right.
And it's the only debt that you can't go bankrupt on. Like that will stick with you for life. I know dudes that, that are at work or just from previous passing or like that are like 45, 50, and they're still paying on their student loans. And it wasn't even that crazy. It was like $100,000 loan.
The podcast is brought to you today by organicpricebooks.com. I love comic books. That is absolutely no secret to any of my friends, family, or listeners. And right here is just some of the comics that I have either bought or gotten sent to me by the fine folks over at Organic Price Books. As you can tell, they have a wide selection from DC, Independent, Marvel, and they have become the #1 spot for everything omnibus, oversized hardcover, or just general collected editions. No matter what you want, they've got it. Go to their website and at checkout, use our promo code, just my name, Noah, Noah, to get additional discounts on top of what they already offer, which ranges anywhere from 30 to 50% off. OrganicPriceBooks.com, use my promo code, Noah, Noah, and start reading comics today.
Well, because that $100,000 after a long
And
time,
now it's like 200,000.
it turns into like 2.5, 300,000 due to interest.
And you can never get rid of it, no matter what, besides paying it off.
And like, this kind of came up in the last episode that I did, where my guest was kind of upset about the whole student loan repayment thing.
Like he was for it, or
he was against it.
he was against it.
He was against it. And like one part of me is like, it sucks. It's kind of like a slap in the face. People who paid off their loans, but it's only $10,000, and I think the average student loan is $80,000.
Right.
Right. And does it suck that with
And see, that's another thing too. I guess I kind of just thought about that now is if you give the $10,000 and to pay it off, and it's like, do you think like, in another 5 years, the interest will come right back and that $10,000 won't even mean anything? So it was kind of just like to hold it off for a while.
Well, the $10,000, I don't know how they distributed it, but apparently it's just like literally they erased, like if you have $50,000, they erased it on everyone's thing and made it $40,000. It wasn't like money into people's pockets.
No, I know that, but I mean, unless they're still on top of it.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Fully keep taking off interest and principal.
Okay.
It's gonna come right back.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Like, well,
that's a good point. But either way, I mean, 'cause I can see where people get frustrated from either that perspective, which is a very selfish perspective, or they get upset because it's like, we're gonna have to pay this back in taxes. We're gonna have to like all that stuff.
I think people are just mainly upset is because it's like if it's someone like me who didn't go to college, it's like I didn't benefit off of it.
Right.
Or if it's like that family that was like, oh, look, we just had a kid. And I, as of today, going to start saving for college. And then they save for 18 years, don't go on vacations, don't buy new, cars, don't buy, stuff like that. And then they have, $80,000 per kid to send to college. They do it. And then, everybody else gets kickbacks. but they don't. So I don't know. I can see it from so many different points.
But, like,
like you said, it is only 10 grand.
Like, on the other hand, though, it's that same. It's like the old guy that goes, "My life was hard. We had to do this, that,
we had
and
to walk uphill both ways.
Yeah, you should
in
you
the
should,
snow.
Yeah, you should suffer too." It's like,
Yeah.
why though?
Yeah,
why
exactly.
should we suffer? You know what I mean? But anyway, so you went through trades, and so what made you decide electrical? Or was it just a happenstance thing?
You know what's funny? I guess I just might be like a lineage, because like my grandpa, he started like in the phone business pretty much like, well, when he got out of the Navy, so like after Vietnam, really. And that's like when, it was barely really starting to come up and really starting to go nationwide and stuff like that. He did it, and then my uncle was in it and stuff like that. And like the phone, like, man, have really just turned into like low voltage and fiber techs. It's kind of where that started from. So yeah, my uncle, he was into it, and I was just like, "Hey, bud, are they hiring over there?" He was like, "Yeah, you have to come in as a temp though." And I was like, "I'm doing it. I need a lifestyle change."
Well, because how old were you at this point?
20. How old am I now? I was like 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get into
Maybe
it,
almost 23, something like that.
and so how long did it? Because I feel like one of the things that scare people away from going into blue collar jobs like that, other than just actually working and not just being sitting at a desk all day, but one thing that scares people away is yeah, there is money in it, but it takes a while to get there. It takes hard work, all that kind of thing. And I imagine you get paid dick as a temp.
I mean, as temps, yes, but that was like a very special thing that, usually companies will only bring, temps on when it's like, we don't really need a bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
And the unions aren't really accepting a bunch of people right now. So you can kind of, get your foot into it, get your face to the company and stuff like that. And then a lot of the times they'll turn around and be like, "Yeah, you're a great worker. We'd love to bring you on." They'll give you an offer letter, bring you into the union, all that kind of stuff too. So it's just kind of a way to get your foot in the door sometimes. But no, it's not all the time. I know a lot of people that didn't come in as temps and they came straight on.
Right.
So that's not, and it's different from companies, and it's different from unions. It's not everything is, exact per.
Well, and
all
nothing,
of them,
yeah,
yeah.
nothing would be uniform, I'd imagine.
But see, and the cool part is like more like the more blue collar jobs, as like electricians and pipe fitters and iron workers, they're usually a lot bigger unions and stuff like that. And it's what's really cool about it is when you get into the union, the union will find you a site or find you a project or find you a company that they, represent, get you in there. And then you start as an apprentice. But the great thing is you can start so green, not knowing anything, come in as an apprentice, getting paid, making decent money, nothing crazy, because, they're not going to give you a bunch of money for not knowing anything and literally always being in the way.
Right, yeah.
But that's the thing. There's so many apprenticeships. Like I know this one girl, and went to school to try, hopefully one day, becoming a lawyer. And right now she works at a law firm but it's almost like an apprenticeship, and yeah, it's unpaid.
Right.
And so it's like you come in as an apprenticeship, and then they start teaching you. You get paid. They'll pay for your schooling. They'll pay a lot of times for your licensing. Because I mean, like you said, it's all the dumb mother that go to trades like that. Like if you go to be an electrician, it's a lot of schooling. And the thing is it's a lot of memorization. It's just memorizing just codes and how things will be done. I mean, electrical books are we'll have 2 or 3 books, and they're just that thick. And it's like for electricians, it's like a 4-year apprenticeship. That's another thing we should say about is the hospital going to burn down? It's like, no, because they make these guys, you have to work 4 years. There's no way around it.
Right.
You can't just work extra overtime and be like, oh yeah, that counts towards it. You have to work 4 years, have a company sign off saying, yeah, you know what you're doing. And then you have to go test. And then you have to go this. While the whole time, you're studying, you're going through stuff, and you have other people that have already done this looking over you first.
So have you gone through a lot of that yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For us low voltage, it's only 2 years.
Okay. Well, still, so kind of translate that to more traditional college. You have your associate's degree already.
Technically speaking, yeah.
In this field, right?
Yeah, so I mean, like the same thing. It is sort of like college in a setup, but at least you're working and making money. And that's another thing, not just making money. It's you're getting your feet in the union, you're learning, you're getting paid, and you're putting towards your retirement. You're getting your paid time off, your paid sick leave, your everything else while you're doing all this. It's like can't go to college and be like, I want to take a week off and get paid while doing it. Like, you know.
Well, because and what I was gonna like kind of translate that to is, it's not a fact that you weren't great at school, and this is a problem with I think most of Americans our age. Is it's not that you weren't good at school; it's that you had zero interest in what school had to offer.
That, and it was just mainly like, I just want to start now. Like, I just didn't want to wait to,
Right.
start, putting away money and start, saving for retirement and start, getting on with life a little bit.
Well, yeah, because and now you're learning something you have genuine interest in.
Yeah, for sure.
So when someone's motivated like that,
Yeah,
they're
anything
gonna
that's
do it.
technical, bro, that's always, you see me in the garage just
Yeah.
MacGyvering and doing weird stuff. Like, anything that's just technical, yeah, I'm just super into. So it's also kind of just right up my alley.
So no, and it just makes a lot of sense. Like, do you ever see yourself doing anything else? Like, I know you've had like other conversations, but
Besides winning the lottery and going to a mountain ranch somewhere in Colorado, I don't know, probably not.
yeah, and I think
At least something esque, there could be stuff adjacent to where it's like you become a field engineer where you're not, running the fiber or splicing the fiber, necessarily, but you're still within it. You're still, helping running other teams or stuff like that. But
right.
yeah. So yeah, something like that for sure.
No, I just think it's interesting how do I put this? Like, again, it's like people have this weird misconception where it's like, oh, he or she, but what is it, like the blue collar jobs are 95% male, 98% male.
Yeah,
right?
it's actually getting a lot better though. And low voltage was a good one where a lot of females are starting to come into it.
Okay.
Well, once they understand it and hear it, it's like, yeah, you're not going to be climbing 100-foot scaffoldings. You're going to be, learning, networks and stuff
Right.
like that. It's a little more appealing to females. And yeah, we have a lot of females
Oh wow.
that start coming in. Truly.
What do you feel like your ratio is? Like for every dudes, how many girls do you think there
I mean,
are?
it's still big. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
There's still probably for like every 30 dudes, there's one female.
Right. Yeah.
But that's another thing too, that, like most of the safeties are female. There's a lot of like other support, like I was talking before, like certain field engineers or certain like people that, focus on one small things, like kind of like the higher ups that, just focus on this side of the network or just full focus on this side of the building or something like that. A lot of them are female. So like, now I'm in the office and stuff like that. So I'm not really in the field too much anymore. And yeah, in the office, dude, it's probably more like, like a closer split to, I don't want to say 50-50, but pretty close actually.
Right. Like it's getting there.
Yeah. Like it's pretty close when it comes to stuff like that.
Well, I think that's important. Like, and I know that we live in a fucking culture of inclusion and diversity and all that shit. Like, it's fine.
Yeah. It's just kind of cool to see.
But if you find people that are qualified, that's what matters. Their race doesn't matter. Their gender doesn't matter. Their sexuality. Who gives a fuck? But I think it's important when that you don't have any organization with very few exceptions. Most of the time, you don't want to have an organization completely ran by one gender.
Yeah.
That is a recipe for fucking disaster. Example. The last company that I worked for, I was literally the only guy there. I was the only male. And of course, I was the weekend staff. Or the weekend manager. So half my fucking days at the office, I was completely alone, right? So for 2 out of the 4 days a week that I would work, and don't get me wrong, like the job drove me up a fucking wall, but I really did enjoy it. And being in an office space and watching all these decisions get made, not that I was surrounded by idiots, not that I was surrounded by just, well, a couple of them were fucking incompetent for sure, but it was there was no debate. There was no pushback. There was never any on some stupid decisions too. And towards the end of it, I would go to like my boss or like the owners. I was like, hey, this probably isn't a good idea. I didn't want to say it in a group setting, but like, here's why this probably isn't a good idea, this and the other. And I attribute a lot of that to the fact that they were all the same gender, right? And so they have like this hive mind thing. And that's not just to call out women. I've been in environments where it's all men.
Yeah.
And they all agree.
Same thing.
And it's like,
I mean,
motherfucker.
and it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like,
No, it makes perfect sense.
dudes are going to think more like dudes than, But I was going to say, too, before is even like another cool thing, about trades and getting into an actual union and stuff like that is, it's a whole military spiel. But you literally could, travel the, United States pretty freely and pretty easily. We have 2 girls, and that's what they do. You can get into a union, be like, oh, yeah, this site over here, needs, help. And go work there for 6 months, and then go work over here for 6 months, and you can go all over the United States just
and it's
doing
funny.
that.
It's funny you say that because my ex, her uncle, is an electrician as well. And we were at this like family function. This is maybe like a year ago or so, and we're all hanging out, drinking, and he shows me. We're talking about his job, and he shows me this website where it's got all these open job opportunities for people who just want to do that. They want to travel. They want to go spend 6 months here, 4 months here, going all across the country, no matter where it's at. And there were jobs paying like 65, 72, almost like up to the $90 an hour. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure they were high intensity, very technical jobs in a place where the cost, because he was looking in like California, Oregon, Florida, New York, the more like the cost of living is super high.
Yeah.
But regardless, when you're making because what is it to make 6 figures? It's over $65 an hour, right? To make 6 figures?
No, I think
I'm fairly certain.
I think it's like the higher 40s.
No way.
I think so, dude. Because I mean, I know $30 an hour. Isn't that 60,000 a year?
So that divided by 52.
So 40, probably 80. So yeah, probably like on low. I don't know.
So I'm gonna do some quick math here because I'm dumb. So that's how much you're making.
I don't know. You might be right.
That's how much you're making a month. Divide that by 2. That's how much you're making every 2 weeks. Divide that by fucking 2. Okay, and then divide that by 40. $52.
Okay.
So $52 an hour.
I said high 40s.
Yeah. So, that's when you're getting into 6 figures.
Yeah.
And sadly, just with the way inflation is outpacing people, 6 figures is starting to become the modern $60,000 a year.
Yeah.
Which is sad.
Yeah.
It made me feel bad about my fucking paycheck. but I just think it's crazy. And I'd imagine it was like this pre-COVID, but in a post-COVID world where job opportunities are left and right, everybody is hiring for every position. Like the only positions that aren't getting hired for right now are like upper level management, owners, and CEOs.
Yeah.
Everything
else though
is open. Like, did you because you've been in this field before and now obviously after the pandemic, did you see like a ton of shift in like employment and retention? Like, what was that like?
Well, and see, the thing is
well, and here's why I asked too. Before you continue, here's a real reason why I ask is a lot of people left their job because they realized that either they want more out of their life or they weren't getting paid enough. And now that all of these jobs are open, myself included, we're able to get higher paying jobs, not because they're necessarily qualified, but because they were willing to learn and they were there's a necessity for it. But in your position, there's a lot of jobs there that are paying a lot.
Yeah, because I mean, that's what I was going to talk about. I'll answer your question, but first what I was talking about is like, and that's what's super cool about Union is Union all has a pay scale based on level, experience, time in, license level, all that. So it's not like if you're, working a retail job and you're like, man, I run circles around this dude, but we get paid the same, or he still makes more than me because he's been here, this little bit much longer, something like that, and it's not fair. Well, that's what kind of cool about the Union is it equalizes everything. So if you're a level 4 and I'm a level 4, we're making the same amount of money. You want to move up a level, you're either gonna have to put more time in, or you're gonna have to go pick up another license or something along those lines.
Well,
so
I
it's
think
like
that's the benefit,
and it all gets negotiated before. So depending on how long contracts are, usually they're like 4 years. So it's like that contract's negotiated. That's what you for those 4 years as you're moving up certain levels, you already know what you're gonna make.
But not only with the amount of time you have in, you can go out and get more training, get more certifications that then either puts you up for a bigger promotion or it literally just bumps up your pay scale because you're that much more knowledgeable.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. You still would have to year point and then have like the union argue point, like, hey, I have this, this, and this too much time in, and I've been putting this and this, and then that's nothing. The union can go, go talk to the company and management on your behalf, saying he's got this, so you don't even got to do it half the time if it's a good union.
Right.
So you also got to really do your research on unions.
Yeah.
Trust me. But yeah, if it's a good union, they'll come in and even like just like randomly, they'll start like negotiating raises. Be like, yeah, I know we have this contract. We know we have this, and we know we give you. And that's another thing. Like every year, you're pretty much always guaranteed a raise. But it's like, yeah, I know we're doing this and this, but it's like, I think we need another, percentage raise here for do this and this, and then they just start going into, week-long negotiations on your behalf.
That's got to be nice because a lot of people, and I do want to get back to the whole COVID thing, but like a lot of people today, because of social media, because of just there being screens everywhere, we just got done with 2 years of isolation.
Yeah.
Communication, the ability to articulate your thoughts, the ability to really display proper emotion in moderate to high stress situations.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, everybody can't do that.
It's gone.
Yeah.
And negotiating a pay raise, I mean, that's
Start
pretty
stumbling over your words and stuff.
Yeah,
And
I think I need
trying to bring your flashcards out. You see here, I did this back in.
Right.
But yeah, no,
And
you
just
have
in the whole
literal
time,
professionals to go help you with it.
because I've been there, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
especially
so
when,
have
when I was younger, and the whole time you're resisting the urge to just grab them by the collar and be like, I need food. I need to pay rent. And it was like, no, I've done this, and I've, it's a bunch of shit. And a lot of people, myself included, like need to actively like figure out that, like literally train that muscle in the brain, train that muscle just and make it to the point where you can articulate your thoughts better, where you can really display. Like, again, I'm having a problem right now. Like, where you just display your emotions, display your thoughts, and then I think just like flashcards, honestly, organize them in a way that makes sense.
And it's funny because like that's one thing that I've noticed too about working in trades is you have so many trades that are on one side at any given time. Like you'd be amazed just how many different companies that all specialize in one thing that it all takes to build this certain thing. Excuse me. And you're in big groups of people and big teams, so it's like for someone that has like social anxiety or that didn't have the most friends out of high school or that wasn't the most outgoing or like that, bro, working something like that helps like a mother. Because I mean, you're constantly around people, you're constantly, and like 90% of the dudes that are there or females that are there, they don't judge. They're just there to shoot the shit, have fun, talk shit, talk shit to each other. Right. Stuff like that. So it really starts bringing, and I've seen it really starts bringing people out of their shells. Really starts, giving them, a little more purpose, a little bit more confidence and stuff like that. And that's just another thing is it also builds people's confidence because it's like you spend this long and you worked this hard. You woke up that early. You went home that late. Sometimes, if you're working a bunch of OT or whatever, and it's like, look at this thing that you helped build, and it'll be here forever most of the time. So I mean, it's a super fulfilling too.
Well, that's what,
and just everything just is so perfect, and it's
No, I think you put that really well because that's at the end of the day, like as far as humans have existed, that's what builds a community. Is people came together and they're like, hey,
yeah, it's very tribal. It really is.
We need a hut.
Yeah.
Right? We need a small...
You do this one, you get sticks, you get mud, you get this, all come together, work together, yeah.
Because if we don't, the bears are going to smell us, the rain's going to come down, and we're fucked. So we need to build this thing. They built it, like, okay, now we can survive this. And now all of that has evolved into we need to do all this, like, wiring and electrical work to make these servers run and do this and to connect people. And, because... I know we can't get into specifics, but like what you guys are doing is huge.
Oh yeah, first of its
like
kind.
You're all cogs in a giant like global machine that is actively like for all the shit that I talk about it, like it's connecting people.
Yeah.
And at least for this region of the country, it's providing that service. And so when you go back to the idea of like, we're building up, it really moves people out of their shell. It really, shows them a bigger sense of like, yeah, maybe you are this small piece, but the bigger puzzle, the bigger picture is all of this. Like, do you feel like it did that for you when you were because you pretty much grew up in it. Like, you started when you were 22, but
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
that's
no.
young.
I mean, it definitely did. You know, I was never the person, even in high school, it's like that would just, you know, walk into a bunch of people like, hey, yo, what's up? My name's David. Like, what you all up to? You know, what are you guys hanging out to and stuff like that. Never that kind of person. Even when I worked previous jobs or whatever, you know, you'd put your customer service voice on when people come through the door. Like, hi, how's it going? Welcome to AutoZone. How can I help you today? You know, you could do that, but like that's because you could differentiate. You know, but when you go to the trades, yeah, it's like you just really realize like just how many people, even though how different people can truly be.
Yeah.
And from political beliefs to whatever, like it's quite amazing. Like what's the word? Like the amount of differences, like people that are all on that big of a site. Like everyone thinks there's a bunch of the, you know, redneck Trump supporters that are the guys that work in construction, but it's not. It's so not. And it's like the amount of people that all have different beliefs on literally everything that can still just like coexist together really well and be best friends, talk shit, have fun, can go talk to anybody, and everybody's just, you know, it really teaches you that, really shows you that, and it really kind of opens your eyes like how shitty the rest of the world is. It's like, man, it's because like nobody's together, no one's forced to be together or like work together or do anything together. Just talk shit on Twitter all day.
Yeah, God, like fucking for real. Like I remember when, well, really it was all of Meta, I think, because I think Instagram went down too when it was in like April of this year, May of this year, when there was the big shutout for like 4 or 5 hours and everyone freaked the fuck out.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I was bored at work. And so, of course, I bought into it. And I was like, oh, Facebook. And because it was amongst the height of the whistleblower incident. It's like, oh, fuck. Facebook and Instagram are down. I only got like 120 subscribers on YouTube. Like my biggest, not that I have a following, but like the biggest following I have is on Facebook.
Yeah.
And then Instagram. And then YouTube. Like, I'm so fucked. I need to create a Twitter. And I created Twitter. And then every so often I'll go on Twitter and just like refresh the page. It goes through like it goes through like 300 notifications. Because for whatever reason, Twitter feels the need to let you know when every single person you follow. I only follow like 20 people.
Like tweet something.
Yeah, when they all tweet out something. And I'm like, motherfucker. And there's people like Eric Weinstein who like fucking tweet out 50 things a week. So I'm like, oh my God. But then you get through it and you get to like whatever like their version of like the For You pages, and it's like this is a fucking cesspool. So I don't even touch it.
Yeah, I've never understood like why Twitter's even appealing. Like I've never made one or have had one. It just does not seem appealing in any way. Because it's like, yeah, you could have your toxic stuff on every other social media, but at the same time you can also have like your like my stuff is just a bunch of car stuff. I'm like, oh, cars.
Well, because
happy place, but it's like Twitter. It's like, yay, more people yelling at each other.
Exactly.
Over stupid shit.
It's
oh, look, somebody made a post or someone made a headline, and now we're gonna have 500 people that we're gonna read talking shit about it or agreeing with it, and then fighting each other. It's like, what's the point? Dude?
Well, that's exactly the point. I think that is exactly the point itself. Is like negativity is what sells. It's like sex, right? Sex sells.
Yeah, no, it definitely draws you in for sure.
Yeah, and it keeps people.
Like I probably never want to participate, but reading is kind of fun.
There are people who sit at their computer for hours on end that just want to argue on the internet. And the reason why Twitter I think is so easy is you only have 140 characters.
Yeah.
So if your point is really so important to you, you guys make 2 tweets, right? And then like so
like, who's gonna read all that?
That's the thing, right? So like with Facebook, like I will comment on something that I get tagged in or like a thread I like or whatever it is, and I'll never know if someone reacted to it or someone commented on it. Usually, especially if it's like a public page, right? Or if like usually it's like a meme page, or if it's like a nerd page that I'm in. A lot of times, if it's big enough, I'll never know. For whatever reason, I won't get a notification. And I have to actually go back and see if there's a conversation going on or whatever it is, right? But on Twitter, and this isn't from my personal experience, I just haven't fucking interacted because I'm horrible at social media. But from people that I know that actively use Twitter, like they will get a notification about fucking, like I was saying a little bit earlier, about their people they follow. They'll get a notification about everything.
See, that's funny. I don't know if I actually like know anybody that's like has like or like maybe it has a Twitter, but like actively uses it. To be honest.
Yeah,
Like, I'm
I don't talk to those people very much.
Yeah, I was
but
like, I truly don't know. Yeah, you talk to them, probably sit there and just argue with your ass over something.
yeah, there's common traits that I'm like, yeah, arm's distance. But anyway, so you bring up a good point though, where it's another stereotype of the blue collar jobs. Like it's all a bunch of, well, before, let's say not even pre-COVID, pre-Trump, it was there's a bunch of Republicans, a bunch of rednecks, but now that whole dialogue got changed to they're just a bunch of Trump supporters. We can get to that later, but now that we're in, let's talk about retention.
Yeah, we'll go back to that.
Yeah, for whatever reason, in any field, retention really interests me just because I think it's interesting how you can grab someone's attention, make them want to work for you outside of a dollar amount, right? Outside of monetary reasons. So you get someone to work for you and then they stay.
So I'm not going to be the most versed on this because, like I said, I'm barely blue collar.
What's not your job? What's not your job?
Yeah. But what I will say is you're probably not going to like the answer because it's both.
Bring it a little closer.
Because it's both, like very left and right, both. Like you'll have some trades, like for instance, the one I'm in, our retention is phenomenal. But that's because it's a good company. It's pretty cushy. That better?
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot to complain about. In fact, but they will. Like I'm gonna be honest. A lot of construction guys, dude. It's like watching like I don't know, what is it, like the what is it, like the Real Wives of Beverly Hills or something like that, or something like a lot of the times it is. It truly is. It's like, what are you guys complaining about? Free lunch now? Like, my bad. Like it wasn't good enough, or yeah, you didn't like when they brought Rudy's or something. Like brisket was a little dry. Like yeah, no, they'll complain about anything. But as far as retention, I mean. Yeah, people really stayed. The COVID, what happened is we ended up getting, a lot of people ended up getting furloughed once COVID happened, mainly because you have to follow, OSHA regulations and stuff like that. And OSHA, pretty much said, can't do anything.
Right. So OSHA. So that's actually a good point. I didn't even think about that. So a lot of OSHA regulations changed to mitigate the spread of the disease.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, yeah.
Well, it's obvious, but I never thought about that.
Yeah.
It's not my world.
Right.
So let's talk about that for a second. What changed? Like in the world. So by furlough, you mean that they weren't paid while they were gone, I'm assuming, right?
So
or is it case by case?
No. So you technically weren't paid check by check. But they did give you we'll just put it this way, a separation gift. Like I'm sorry this is happening. We will call you back when we can. This is back when, 2 weeks to yeah. That's what everybody thought. So and even when they had the meeting, they were just like
it was like a severance, but we're still gonna have you back.
Yes, they were like, we're thinking 2 to 3 months, which that ended up being bullshit by the time everybody got back. So they're like, take this money, which honestly you could have easily lived off of, and done really well for 2 or 3 months if that's what you were only gonna be gone for, plus unemployment.
Right.
You could have been living very fat, honestly, for those 2 or 3 months, and then came back to work. That's what everybody thought. Ended up not being the case. So.
Ended up being almost 12 to 14.
Yeah, by the time we got full strength, yeah.
Man, it's funny.
But anyways, as far as retention goes,
go
there's
ahead.
a lot of other trades, like a lot of dudes that are on the oil lines that I know. Those dudes they don't stay very long at all. Work will come here, they'll come do this for a while, they pull their fifth wheel, and then the second anything, it's a word, it's called dragging up. Go drag up, tell the forklift dude to go throw your gang box in the back of your truck, load up, and you're off to the next one. You find a pipeline or something like that's paying a little bit more over here, plus more per diem. And that's another thing that trades do is they pay a lot of per diem. How much that is money for food and lodging and stuff like that if you're away.
It's auxiliary funds,
yeah.
Right?
So yeah, so those type of guys, yeah, they leave all the time. There is no retention. There is no loyalty to a company. There is no, I've been to this company 5. Those guys are a lot of trades like that are always moving around. But other companies where it's like, yeah, this can be this project that we're doing is gonna be here for a long time, doing a lot of things back to back to back, and it's a good company and a good unit. Yeah, those guys stay. They really do.
Well, and I feel like,
especially if it's in your hometown,
Right. No.
So it's a lot of it's just case by case by case.
Well,
but the cool thing is you kind of have both options.
Well, you bring up the hometown thing, and I think that's a lot more unique to the southeastern part of Mexico. Specifically with the oil stuff.
Yeah.
You're looking at Lovington, Hobbs, Artesia,
Yeah.
and then you get into West Texas. That's
Yeah, even
where
like Midland, stuff like that. That's still technically hometown. You can be home on the weekends, pretty easily.
right.
Because those guys usually work, I believe, like, depending, but they're usually like 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off type of thing.
Yeah, well, it ranges. Like I know a guy who works down in, maybe like Odessa, I think, and Odessa or Midland around there,
Yeah.
and they, he goes down there for 6 weeks and gets off for 2.5. And I mean, it's fat fucking money.
Oh yeah, it's
great
stupid money,
It's
but
great.
God, is it some backbreaking work? You gotta like
Yeah.
crave that shit.
Yeah.
But if you do and you're about it, dude, you can make such a killing. It's I can't believe, like, honestly, how ludicrous it could be.
But like, I feel like a lot of people post COVID, like it really woke them up, and they were like,
Took them a while to all come back though. Truly,
like I don't give a fuck about who I work for, where I work. If the job is the same, if the industry is the same,
yeah.
I'll put up with stupid people. I'll put up with bad coworkers, but I need now more than ever.
That's one kind of cool thing too. Is you don't have a whole lot of bad workers because like you will get checked. Like honestly, like there's a lot of stuff people just will not let. It's like, 'cause you don't, there's not like super professional setting sitting inside of a Dillard's or something. Like if you're being a dickhead, you're gonna have 5 dudes telling you you're being
like,
a
hey motherfucker,
dickhead,
right?
And whatever. And there isn't no management that's gonna come and be like, oh, I'm gonna write you up for using the word dickhead or something. There ain't none of that. So it's like, there you really don't have the opportunity to be a fuckhead.
Okay,
Truly.
so you just give me another idea, and I'll get to it. But I think post-COVID, a lot of people were like, now more than ever, I know the importance of money, and I know the importance of how quickly all of this falls apart, and I need to get my shit together.
Yeah.
Now, granted, a lot of that's died off,
Yeah.
but there's still a lot of people that feel that way.
You would think, but even we had problems trying to get people to come back right when like all the restrictions started to get lifted. Well, there was minimal restrictions.
Well,
You
like,
still had to wear
the
masks.
give a fuck died off. But
Yeah,
like, a
but
lot
it's
of
like there
people-
were still people that were still sucking up the
Well, there is no brand loyalty anymore. That's what they want to get to.
Well, it wasn't even brand loyalty. It wasn't even like people
Or company
It
loyalty.
wasn't even that. It wasn't even like trying to get a lot of people back because a lot of the people that we had that got furloughed, they either went to another company during the pandemic that didn't have as high of numbers, because that was nothing. Like you were allowed to still work, you just couldn't have super high numbers. So they either went to other companies so they could keep working, keep making money, or you had some people that just went straight up on unemployment. And by the time we were trying to rebuild numbers, like, okay, restrictions starting to drop, still got to wear masks, still got to wear this, still got to wear this, but we can start bringing more heads on. It was, these people were already at different companies. These people already went and did this, and then trying to get people back, it definitely took a while. It wasn't like it was just a flood coming back.
Right.
So,
Well, and you bring up a work environment.
Yeah.
And personally, I think that's good. I think in general, like, and I've fallen victim to it myself, and it's just something I've recognized just growing up, but like, our culture has gotten extremely soft and has been very, like, you know how, like, with, where like a overcautious newlywed couple that has a kid, they baby proof the house, right? They put the foam over the corners,
cover over all the outlets.
Yeah,
and
they cover all the outlets.
lock up all the cabinets.
Exactly.
And,
They baby proof the house.
Yeah.
It's like whoever's pulling the strings, whoever's doing whatever, like a side effect of all this cancel culture and this Me Too, while they have their place,
I didn't realize it was a cardboard back.
they damn.
Many years of experience.
Damn. It's made this world baby proofed.
Yeah,
and
it honestly did make people soft.
And there's no.
And I wonder if honestly that even contributes to some of the mental health issues that we see.
I think it does, but I also think that because so I was listening to a podcast, and one thing that was brought up is like a lot of the problems that we're facing right now is like a household that only has a mom but no dad.
Yeah.
Where the mom is there to nurture and to comfort and all that kind of stuff. And while the dad can do the same, there needs to be sternness. There needs to be a forceful hand. And it sounds like, hang on, because when you mix the culture that we have and the young people, 18, 19, 20, going up to 22 or 23, when they come into a culture where where you're working, where it's like, yeah, we're here to do work, we're here to talk shit and have fun, but like we're also here to do a job.
Yeah, we're here
And
to
if
do
you-
a job.
And if you get in the way, that's first and
Do a
foremost.
job perfectly.
Right. If you get in the way, if you cause problems, if you're lazy, or if you just flat out like don't give a fuck, and you're here just because you, for whatever reason you came up with,
Yeah.
you're gonna get told so.
Oh yeah.
I'd
You will get checked for sure.
I'd imagine a lot of the people that are starting out for the first time, that's the first time they've ever been told anything.
Well, yeah, and see, and the good thing is about that too is like I even, kind of have a rule and stuff like that as far as like new relationships or anything like that is like, as far as like people that went from high school to college, worked, this type of job while they're going through college, doing this and this is like, the real world hasn't hit you yet. You don't know what it is like out there. You've gone so many years, 23 years of your life, truly not knowing the real world. You've had family that's coddled you, school that's coddled you, college that's really and everything else. But it's like the people that go and they get into the trades, it's like, this is what the real world is. It sucks. But you have a lot of people that have done it and they're going to show you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're going to show you how to get through it. And so it really just builds, I don't want to say character because I hate that saying, but like, but like as far as just really shows you what the real world is, and like I said, that's like that one thing too is like it helps, build a lot of self-confidence, helps you build a lot of this as opposed to the people that, went this long thinking like this is how it's going to be. And then they get into the real world and it's the biggest culture shock. They have a manager that's yelling at you and they've never been yelled at before in their life. And they're just like, oh, and they just shut down. Right. It's like, just because you're getting yelled at doesn't mean you need to be shut down. It's like, give them 5 minutes. You'll be fine.
Right.
Like, it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
Like, I see dudes get yelled at all the time for doing something stupid, but then the next 5 minutes, they're chill. Like, that's how the real world works. Well, but people that don't know that, they just shut down. They freak out. And
well, because I think a lot is you bring up like the universities, right?
Yeah.
And it's not even like as an anecdote, but statistically, a lot of people who go into and get degrees from colleges, they literally turn around and within the first, the first statistic was either 3 or 5, but the first 3 to 5 years after them getting that degree, they end up working back at the same institution that they got their degree from.
which is so weird because they just want to go
Case in
back to
point.
that. Yeah. They just want to go back to, they know what's familiar.
Exactly.
And the trades do not allow you to have anything familiar at all.
Well, and case in point, I got my associates.
Yeah. Yeah. And you went right back.
Yeah, I got my associates in 2017. And by Halloween, I literally got hired on Halloween of 2018. I was back at the same institution working in the admissions department. Why? Because it was open, they knew me, and I had an in. That's how and that's at a fucking junior college in Roswell, New Mexico, right? Granted, like, oh, it's a fucking...
Yeah,
no,
regardless.
it's a junior college in Roswell. And that's how it is at most major institutions. And I don't know, I just feel like when people enter an environment like that, because like, look, what you guys are doing, you are quite literally, in my opinion anyway, you're quite literally building a foundation for a bigger picture so it can run properly, go smoothly, and it carries on for decades. You can't fuck this up.
Yeah.
Like, I had this conversation when I had my buddy, his name's John. He's a
Well, before you get to that, and that was kind of one of those things, I was never in the military, but, I know a lot of people that are, and it's a lot of those people that just keep re-upping, and it's because that's what you know. It's the camaraderie that's there. That's where your friends are there. Yeah. That's where everything else. And they do the same thing. But also, it's kind of like the trades can also kind of have almost like the same mentality, like as far as like the pride goes. Yeah. Which at the same time is also kind of cool. It's nice to be able to know that, yeah, you're waking up early. Yeah, you're going to work. Yeah, sometimes it's cold. Yeah, sometimes it's hot. But at the same time, it's like, it's really cool to see everybody that's focused on one goal that has that much pride in what they do. Yeah. And then it gives you pride. It gives you purpose. And literally humans need purpose to go on.
It's rare to find.
And it's rare to find nowadays.
In any occupation, that's rare to find.
Yeah. And so it's super nice being able to see, all these people that come from all different walks of life that all have different philosophies, opinions, everything else, but that are still have the same, purpose, drive, motivation, and pride that you do.
And so-
And that's something that you guys relate on, and it's brings a lot of people together.
And so I feel like you just answered something I was going to bring up a little
Okay.
earlier. But no, because like you bring up how like, stereotype is all these fucking red hats, these Trumpers, they're the ones that do the trades. But no, it is a huge diversity there's a whole spectrum of beliefs, certainly post-COVID. So do you feel like because again, I feel like the job you guys are doing, whether it's what you're doing, the
One of my best friends
stuff,
trying to give me like an anarchist book, and he was like, "This is the way we need to go." And I was like,
he's a
"I'll read it."
libertarian.
Huh?
He's a libertarian.
No, me as a libertarian. He was giving me like an anarchist. He was just like telling me all kinds of stuff. Like it's a Muslim. One of my best friends was a Muslim dude that was like into anarchy, and he was like, "No, you need to read this book." And I was like, "All right, dude." But he's like still like my best friend there, or one of mine.
Well,
it's funny.
So you experience all of these different backgrounds, philosophies, beliefs, all coming together, and yes, you guys are all at the end of the day, you're working towards one vision, you're working towards one goal. And in theory, any organization is doing that, but obviously that fails.
Not to that
over,
extent. Not to that extent.
It fails over and over and over again.
We sold this much in sales today. Congratulations, guys. We
Right.
sold this many shirts. That's the difference between we created this. Look at it.
Right.
That's
so
perfect.
What you guys are doing, not only is it tangible, like you can literally touch it, but what you guys are doing,
And you show it off to the world.
right? It's going to serve a huge function more than just meeting your dividends.
But it's not even just me, like on the fiber network side. It's the people that do the buildings and the foundations and the earth moving. Like the amount of earth that gets moved is just astronomically
That's actually what I was going to say. Is like, do you feel like any kind of political beliefs, differences in any of that? Do you think any of that affects?
No, it's fucking hilarious. Like there's dudes that will literally have Trump hard hats, like not hard hats, but like Trump stickers on their hard hats and stuff like that. And same thing, like I said, like one of my best friends, he'll come wearing in a jacket that has ACAB on it, and those two are best friends. And they'll talk about shit, but it's just like it doesn't matter once you actually are face to face with somebody that is even that different than you, but is in like the same thing as you, and you have that one thing. Like that's like the first branch is like, hey, we're both doing this together, dude. That branch just spreads like everything, and then you're like, cool. The only differences we have is just who we voted for.
Well, I was going to say, like, what do you?
That's super cool.
What do you think that equalizer is? Like,
I think it's the fact that you both chose to do this. You both have this, and you see each other every day, and you don't realize them. It's like, oh yeah, that's Thomas, the Trump supporter. That's Mike, the anarchist that hates cops. You don't recognize him. It's like, hey, this is a dude that kicks ass at his work and is super nice and extremely funny, and that's kind of what you guys go on because you see each other every day. I mean, you see these people at work more than you'll see your friends, your family, anybody else. Those are the people that you see the most. So it just also that you get to know the most of, and you kind of build the strongest relationships with are those people. Because you see your friends. I mean, I see you maybe once or twice, like 1 or 2 hours a day.
Right.
And I see these guys 8 to 10 every day.
Right. Well, and that's actually a huge criticism of the way the American work environment is structured, is that you do end up spending more time with the people in your job than you do with the people at home. And in theory,
Yeah.
the people at home are the ones you care about more.
Yeah.
And
For sure.
I think the environment that you're describing, where you guys are able to get along that well, you guys are able to build that camaraderie and have that mutual vision, now more than ever, that is so rare.
And see, even the people that do get the hate, because I mean, don't get me wrong, not everybody on that site's perfect. You have your assholes.
Oh, of course not.
But what's funny is when you ask them, like, hey, why don't you like this guy? It's not because he believes this, and this, and he acts like this. It's he comes to work acting like this. He does this type of work. He makes my life harder, and he's just a genuine dick. That's the answers you'll get. You're not going to get, oh, it's because he voted this way or believes this way or said this thing or dresses this way or is this race, color, gender, sexual orientation, whatever. And I'm going to be honest, on a construction site, that whole, red-hatted Trump supporter thing, I've met more races, more sexual orientations, more, anything under the umbrella at that site than I've met anywhere else in real life.
Yeah.
And it's a construction site. And everybody else knows. And you'll have those old heads that, are this typical stereotype. And you would just like automatically kind of think like, oh, he's going to have something to say. And no, they don't. And people are pretty open about it and everything else. And it's just like, definitely
and yeah,
break the stereotype.
People all have their beliefs, and they have, whether no matter how extreme they can get sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the people that stick around in that profession, they realize that there are things a lot more important than who they voted for,
Yeah, you do.
the color of their skin, who they go to bed with at night. I think that they realize by that point, like, if this guy fucks up, if I don't work well with this guy, if I don't do this, that, or the other, a lot of this is going to start falling apart.
Well, it's not even just that. It's like, yeah, you might be able to know that, and then all of a sudden you make, an opinion about him based off that one thing, right? Well, guess what? It's not like someone on Twitter or someone that you've, have met once that you can just make an opinion about, and then you'll never see him again, so that opinion sticks. It's somebody that, yeah, maybe you did make that opinion about him at first, but it's someone that you're going to see 40 to 60 hours a day, and slowly, if they are, a decent human being and a good person, that stigma starts going away because, again, you have that much time with them to really learn all of them,
Well, and again, because, like, why?
I feel like that'd be the same for even everywhere else. If people
You would
really were
think.
face to face with that many people, that many different
Right.
things, that long. Because that's the thing. Most people, and I'm guilty of it too, most people that you have your friends with are people that think just like you, look just like you, act just like you.
Typically, yes.
Which isn't a bad thing. I mean, of course, that's the people you're going to get along with. But when you're in somewhere that has that many people and you see them that long, you don't really have the option. And then you start realizing, like, oh, yeah, we believe in, different gods, but it's such a cool dude, and we hang out all the time, type of that kind of stuff.
Right.
Because you just spend that much time. You don't really have a choice. You're really gonna know everything about that person in a
Right.
couple of months,
And, and to
whether
your,
you want to or not.
and to your point, why would you want to make your life harder by, actively disliking someone because of some
that's
arbitrary
another thing,
aspect,
too.
right?
And you go to work in a room with them, man.
No, it's fucking ridiculous. And then B, people, like you just said, they tend to associate themselves, like, by choice with people that are like-minded, that they are more like in their own almost echo chamber. And I think that's only like perpetuated by
Yeah, it just
social
makes your
media.
when you have people that are agreeing with you all the time, it just makes your opinions that much stronger. Because you're like, yeah, I'm 100% right. Why? Because the 5 people around me all agree with me, and it's like no one's ever just told you, like, you're fucking stupid. Like for instance, like Joey tells me, like, even last night, tells me like 5 or 5 times. I was like, maybe he's onto something. It's like if you get told that you're absolutely right and yeah, that's 100% the truth and stuff like that your whole time, it's like, of course you're gonna start believing that,
and
right?
and to be quite frank, without going into a ton of detail, that's why I enjoy our friend group so much.
Yeah, we're not afraid to be like, no, listen, you're definitely wrong about that, buddy.
Right.
Let me tell you why.
And we're able to have that open dialogue
for sure.
and have that discussion where if we disagree, it's not that we disagree because I think you're a dick or because I think you're stupid. It's just because we have different life experiences.
Yeah.
And from your experience, this didn't pan out well. And then from his experience, that was kind of an iffy thing. And then, it's a well-opened discussion format. And to be completely fucking honest, I would be bummed out as shit in general if, especially by, like, because we're still young and I recognize that, but, like, by this point in our lives.
Are we?
I think so.
I don't know if we are, dude.
We're only a quarter of the way there, bro. We've got 75% of a life worth suffering through.
We do, but man, it's like it just seems like life moves so fast. It's like you either have friends that are, already married, have kids, and you're just, or you have friends that are, are going and
God, dude.
and
Well, that's a
that are
whole...
partying every weekend or something like that, and
Yeah.
you're just like, and you're just in the middle, like, am I doing this whole life thing right?
Well, I don't think. Well, that's a whole other conversation. We'll get to that.
I know.
But because
me up at night.
as we're maturing and we're getting older, I don't think that it's healthy to live in an echo chamber with people that are, like, closest to you.
That's not.
But B, if you aren't, I'd be super fucking,
Yeah,
podcast or not, I'd be super bummed out if we couldn't at least try and discuss stuff like that.
Yeah, and you
Like-
should be able to.
like actual
And people get
conversations that
offended way
affect,
too easy.
Yeah.
If someone calls me a dumbass and be like, you might be right, but on this you're not right about. But it's like other people, it's like the second you have any differences, they just immediately take that as an attack on them and the personality. And it's like, no, I'm not
Right.
attacking you. I'm not even attacking your stance. I'm just saying, what about this?
Right.
And that's kind of what I like about the trades, is that's how a lot of stuff are just inherently structured.
Yeah. Well, and then to your point, what you just said, like, I don't now. Obviously, before I say this, there are right things to do and there are wrong things to do in life for sure.
Yeah.
But in general,
Don't do crack.
right?
Yeah.
In general,
Pretty
well, even then, there's a dude. His name is Dr. Carl Hart.
I know who he is.
Right?
Yeah.
Who actively
That's
does
so
heroin.
that trips me out.
Right? So it's very strange. But the point I'm trying to make is, I don't think that there is, and again, I think something that COVID just exposed, that there isn't really a path to getting this whole life thing accomplished.
No, not even a little bit. No.
And a lot of it is just ad-libbing it and trying to figure out what the, like...
No,
like,
the meaning of life is just faking your way through it.
No.
You're doing your best, giving your best shot at it, and just...
I wouldn't even say faking your way through it, just believing. I think there's a difference, because if you can fake something, you're going to get found out, right? If you fake something, you'll typically get found out.
Yeah.
But if you... Not to fucking believe in the power of manifestation, but like, if you really do believe something and you work at it, it'll be a reality for the most part. Now,
it's what's that one saying? I love that saying. It was I think it was an Army EOD tech when people and he was in an interview and they just asked him like, how stressful is this when you go up to go hand jam a bomb, and he was like, it's not. It's either I'm right or suddenly it's not my problem anymore. And I heard that and I was like, dude, from now on I'm living my life like that. It's like I'm gonna do the best things I can. I'm gonna try that, and if it doesn't work out, it's suddenly not my problem anymore. I'll go try something else.
Right. No, and I think that's a very morbid but a very wise thing.
Yeah,
to
I love
kind of
that saying.
apply to
I
your
will
life.
get it tattooed on me somewhere.
Yeah.
Like I swear, I love that. And it works so well. If you literally just live by that, it's like do your best, give your best foot forward, and do what you think is best at the time, and either you're right or suddenly it's not your problem anymore.
Well, because I hate to like name drop this guy because of how controversial he's gotten. But
Andrew Tate.
Exactly. No, Andrew Tate.
No, honestly, I never really had the hugest opinion about Andrew Tate, but I just saw a video on TikTok of him singing Should Have Been a Cowboy by Toby Keith, and I was like, all right, he's all right.
I haven't seen that.
No?
But that's
Oh, dude,
funny.
it's so good.
But no,
he's just in a limo just slamming a bottle of Grey Goose singing that song, and I was like...
Because his
Relatable.
father was, I guess, this big like chess grandmaster or whatever, and he got
I didn't
super
know
into
that.
chess and all this kind of shit. But like,
Oh my God,
because he got so into chess and he was raised by this guy, his outlook on life is very much that of a chess player looking at a chessboard. And one of
5 moves, 10 moves, 20 moves ahead.
yeah, well, not even that necessarily, because one thing that he said that kind of stuck with me was if things are going wrong and you don't really know what to do next, wallowing in it, people can work out their emotions to feel the way they're feeling, but like wallowing in it for too long is not going to fucking fix anything for anyone.
Yeah.
And he goes, wishing and hoping and all this kind of stuff, it's all bullshit. Because he goes, if I'm playing chess against
it's that thing that we were taught as kids is actions speak louder than words thing.
Not even that, but he goes, if I'm playing against a chess grandmaster, we are both being governed by the same exact rules.
Yeah.
The only difference is experience that this person has that I don't. He doesn't look
Maybe
or
a little
she
bit of luck.
doesn't. No, that's the thing, is there is no luck in chess.
There
It
could be.
It's all decisions that you are making. And if you lose in a game of chess, and he says this too, if you lose in a game of chess,
I mean, there could be luck
at
if you
one-
go and you move a pawn and you just didn't think that last bit and you let go and you go, oh shit,
at
that's
one
lucky
point-
for the other dude.
Well, again,
You had
if
a
you
brain
make a
mishap.
wrong move, if you lose at some point in the game, you made a wrong step.
You made a wrong move.
right, and that's your fault.
Yeah.
So he goes, a grandmaster does not look at the game at the chessboard and say, "Man, I wish a knight or a rook or a pawn could
Was
move
in this spot."
I wish they could move this way." No, it's I'm fucked, but what is the best move possible right now? And that's how you go about your life.
That and
Right.
taking every opportunity that comes your way.
Exactly.
Not being comfortable.
No, exactly. And I think that's just, and that stuck with me because it's like, well, yeah, there's
Yeah,
no
like
point in just kind of just wallowing or like wishing. It's like, no, if you're fucked, just make the best move and roll with it.
But yeah, and that's another thing too. As far as just opportunities that come, I feel like people, because I mean, I did this all the time. You know, when I was working at that AutoZone, I thought I was making decent money when I was a kid, and I guess I technically was, right? Because I was like store manager or of it, or whatever. But people would come, customers, and they'd be like, "Oh, I own this business. I kind of want to have an interview with you. You know, you seem this.
Right.
And they would give me their phone numbers, business cards, and this happened a lot. But I was so comfortable where I was, and I thought I was making okay money and all this stuff that I just never took anybody up on any offers.
Right.
So that was one thing. Is once I moved on and realized that, like, no, I wasn't in a good position at all, and like stopped lying to myself, and was able to get uncomfortable a little bit. I was like, I will never not take an opportunity ever again.
Well,
and so far it's worked out as far as other, like even within the company I'm in, like I moved positions all because they were just like, hey, we have this position open, send me your resume. And I was just like, what's the worst that happens? They say no. And I got it. So it was one of those things is like, just take every opportunity that comes your way. And not even take it, just like explore it.
No,
explore it. Go to that interview. Go talk to them. Go do this. Even if it's so out of your comfort, even if you're like, there's no way I'm qualified for this. Like, who gives a shit? Worst they can say is no.
Exactly. And there was another good saying that I heard. I forget who said it, but it was, if you literally walk into any place, most of the time anyway, right? There's exceptions to every situation. But if you walk somewhere and have your chest out, shoulders back, and your head's held high, and you act like you're supposed to be there.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, you're going to get treated as such.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
And I think you bring up a good point.
Well, real quick, have you ever seen those pranks where they just like take a ladder into somewhere?
Yeah. Well, my buddy,
just act like you're supposed to be here and just take a ladder into you get in there anywhere you want.
So a buddy of mine, he's active duty Army now, but at the time, this was back in 2016, 2017. He was going to school at the American Film Institution down in Los Angeles.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, he got into a lot of bad shit, but it was an interesting thing to learn about when he was there. And he told me about how when they were shooting, it wasn't in Los Angeles. It was or maybe it was on a soundstage in Los Angeles. I can't remember what he said. Yeah, it was on a soundstage in Los Angeles. They were shooting, I believe it was, I could be wrong, but it was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
That's such a good movie.
No, it was. It was
such
Once
a
Upon a
good
Time in
movie.
Hollywood. And he heard about it, and he was like, he was that guy that was like, no, okay, fuck it. Like, he was that kind of guy. So all he did, according to him, I don't know how much I would like to believe this is a real story, is he just fucking threw a hat on, grabbed a clipboard with a checklist on it, and just started walking through and looking at things and writing things down. And he walked through, and he actually caught them shooting a scene with Brad Pitt and DiCaprio. And all he did is he never met them, never met Tarantino, never actually spoke words, but all he did is he was walking by, saw it, and was like, oh shit, and then kept walking.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. But I just think it's interesting what the power of confidence can actually do for people. And again, I don't fucking believe in like manifesting, other bullshit, because manifesting is like what you're not.
So maybe not
for.
manifesting, but it's something like mission focused. It's not manifesting where I'm putting this into the universe and I'm hoping it comes true. It's like this is all I can think about to where it's now get it.
No, it's gone.
Oh, okay. To where now it's an obsession.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
It's one of those things. If it becomes an obsession and an addiction, you've never seen a crack addict not get crack. Like, just saying.
Well, and then something interesting I think about is in the age of like automotion and AI and all of these things that are getting built, with the amount of experience that you have with your job, do you feel like AI or a robot could ever do what you've done or what you're currently doing?
No way. Even like 95% of the trades, no, there's no way.
Why is that?
One, volume. Two.
Okay, define volume. The volume of people, of bodies needed, or the volume of work?
The both. Without giving away too much, the things that are the amount of, let's say, items that are necessary to create this thing at the scale that it is stupid. Like, just the amount of stuff that it takes and the ways that it has to go is very, like, not something that AI could do, if that makes any sense. Like, it would, literally be physically impossible. But because just by any robot or anything like that would not be able to create a network like that. Now, as far as, and we don't use AI like you would think like iRobot, but we use it in a way like
iRobot's coming, by the way. It's coming.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I don't think yet. I don't think we'll ever see it in our lifetime.
Oh, you're so wrong. I'm sorry. You're so wrong. Dude, have you seen the videos where, and again, it's something out of a fucking, either it's iRobot or something dystopian where, like, I think it was Jimmy Fallon.
Okay, well, let me finish real quick. Let me finish. Why I don't think AI will take it is things happen like when, like, let's say something breaks, right? Like you have break fix teams that'll go out and they need to figure out why this one link isn't working. And AI is very mathematical and scientific. Like, we're going to try this, this, and this, and this, and this, and this. All this list of possibilities on why this isn't working. Humans go, well, we tried everything. Let's try hitting it with a hammer, and then it works. And that's how so many of these problems will get fixed, is just from the stupidest, outlandish things that someone just tries. And that's not programmed into AI to think that way or to look that way or to do things this way. It's just some guy that just said, let me try this for a second. And then let me wait 5 minutes and let's just see if this comes up because I did this one thing. I don't know. What else are we going to do? And then all of a sudden it works. I'm like, cool, that works. Like, just a lot of things just happen that are so random that I don't think AI would have the ability, because, you would have to, in a sense, program the AI saying, here's the list of ways that you can fix something. Go through the list, try them until something works. And the list can be 1,000 pages long. But it takes a human to go, ooga booga, hit it with a hammer. Oh, look, it works now. Don't know why, have no explanation on why, but it does. And we'll just leave it at that and go to the next thing.
So it's just, it's quite literally like, I mean, it's said as an insult, right? If you're the missing link, that means you're not exactly a monkey, you're not exactly a human. That missing link between what makes a human and then what makes AI.
Yeah.
That human ingenuity.
That ingenuity, that just fuck it attitude, try it, what's the worst that happens? Attitude, honestly, is what gets so much stuff fixed and so much stuff done. That I just don't think AI would have the ability, because AI would be too methodical. It would be too by the book. And, people that are in trades will definitely know that by the book doesn't always work.
What is being robotic?
Yeah.
Being
it
robotic
doesn't work.
Being
creative, trying weird things, trying stuff that's never been done, just saying, I don't know, try this, see if it works. And having zero faith in that it'll work, and then all of a sudden it does, that's human, Yeah. I've just tried it. And I don't think AI would be able to do that. And then plus, like, building itself, because nothing that is built can withstand the future. It always needs to expand. It always needs to get bigger. It always needs to, have more and more and more and more and more. I don't think AI could just go and just rebuild itself in that way. There'd be no way.
That's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah.
Nothing that is built can withstand the future.
No, not even a little bit. And we're talking within 2 years. The future is 2 years. Everything that is like, again, without giving stuff away, anything that is put in to the things that we do, has a 2-year lifespan on it before it's now obsolete. And does it get replaced every 2 years? Not necessarily. But upgrades. So yeah, there's going to get to a point where it's like, cool, this thing no longer has the capacity. We need to go bigger. Humans come, make it bigger, put in the new stuff, and that's just going to be like the vicious cycle, dude.
So again, just not at the risk of asking a stupid question, but just expanding on that. Mm-hmm. Are you talking bigger as specifically a bigger, like, physical building, bigger as in better software? Like, what do we?
Yeah, all the above.
Everything.
All the above. Yeah, and then as you get bigger and faster, it comes with even more challenges that require bigger infrastructure. It's like there's a reason that the Nokia was as small as it is, and the iPhone's as big as it is,
or as small as it is.
Yeah, but there's definitely differences between
right.
The bigger stuff. I mean, have you seen my PlayStation 5? The thing's freaking massive. And that's why. And it's like, yeah, you can always make them smaller, but then you start running into so many issues as like thermodynamics. As this stuff gets so hot, and I was like, cool. Now how do we cool it? This stuff takes so much power. How do we power it? This stuff takes so much. So yeah, you just keep you know, you fix one thing, you make it bigger because it needs to be. And the next thing happens, the next thing happens, the next thing happens, and you're just chasing. Pretty much, you're always chasing.
And that's what blew my mind. Have you listened to Zuckerberg's episode with Rogan?
Yeah.
Okay, so when he was talking about specifically the glasses,
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I am so excited for those.
how they have the Facebook, whatever.
Oh, the Ray-Bans
the
that they have now?
VR like Ray-Bans with the
Yeah.
cameras, but how like they want to create a whole like augmented,
Augmented reality, bro.
Augmented
have
reality.
you seen Cadillac's augmented reality?
like Cadillac the car.
Yeah, dude, it is so cool. I don't know when they're gonna come in production. Probably pretty soon, but it's gonna be one of those things that's like through your windshield you'll be able to see like you're playing like a racing game, like the line on the road to tell you where to go, and like, oh, you're looking for this one McDonald's. Here's this arrow that's pointing over here where it's at. Shit like that. How speed, how fast to come into a corner, where's the next corners, be able to see through stuff, vehicles.
No way.
Yeah, dude. They did. This was a while ago too. They did like an unveil on it. And yeah, it's super sick.
But it's in the most alpha of alpha.
Oh,
stages.
of course. But I mean, who knows? You know, Cadillac's gone all electric now, so who knows when those cars will start getting stuff like that.
They'll regret that very soon, though. I'd imagine.
Going what?
Well, going completely electric.
No, I don't think so.
Well, because if you look at California, I remember all the details about it. Because I frankly,
But I'm gonna be honest, that's a California problem. That's not the rest of the world problem.
That's my point. Is they are the extreme.
Yeah.
Like they have done the most extreme thing a little bit too quick.
Yeah.
And now they're like, oh fuck, turn off your TV. By
Yeah, they
9
used up
p.m.
all their resources and they used up all their land.
But if you look at the flip side of that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because California associated with what? The liberals.
Yeah.
So let's look at Texas, the Republicans, right? Hyper right Republican place. Which, if I was a betting man, I'd say in 10 to 15 years, Texas goes blue. That's just me. But let's say with the Republicans, right, over in Texas, they were so proud and so big about their own power grid, right? Whether it was their own fossil fuels, but most of it was ran on solar and wind. Well, what happened when the big freeze of 2021, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah, when the big freeze happened and all of their fucking power grid shut down. And it's like, damn.
Yeah, and that's on them because they were like, it doesn't get cold here. We don't got to
Exact-
worry about
exactly.
it. We're going to save some money. And
They
then
should
it
have been
happened.
hooked up with the rest of the country. And so you start seeing.
I don't know about that.
Well, they should have been on the same power grid as everybody else. Or I know
about that.
it's regional. Well, why not? Because you know about.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing as far as like, I believe every state should be able to do what they want, give their resources out as they want.
Right, but
And
their solution didn't work though.
it didn't work, but that's also on them for not believing that something like this could happen to where they needed, it built at a different code, such as it's northern states, that are built at a certain code. That's on them, honestly.
Well,
but as far as being hooked up to the rest of the world or the rest of the country, I don't know about all that.
Well, and I also recognize that what happened in Texas was a freak instance, right?
Yeah, technically speaking, 30, 40 years hasn't done that. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that, but at the same time, I'd imagine, again, I'm saying this with complete ignorance, but I would imagine that we're entering an age where isolationism when it comes to energy is not necessary. You don't need to rely on your own.
I think it is for certain aspects. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, if there was a state that has had a bunch of land, like New Mexico, and it was like, yeah, we're going to put a nuclear facility up. It's like, yeah, throw it all the way to the West Coast, for sure. But as far as like resources of that, I don't think that it's completely fair because it's like, yeah, if Texas fucked up and they fucked up, that's on them. They fucked up. They shouldn't be able to go and start putting extra strain on everybody else's stuff because they fucked up and wanted to save money. Same thing that's kind of honestly making me mad is Lake. I can't remember what it is. It's the one that goes through Nevada, the one that powers the Hoover Dam.
I know what you're talking about. But
So
yes.
every state got a restriction on it as far as how much power, how much water that they could get because that lake is drying up. How much water has been taken. And California got zero restriction. And it's like, why are you able to go tell another state, another place, you guys get these restrictions that are sharing this, but these people don't because they were, they got into like whatever contract earlier or first. And it's like, it's not even your resource. Like,
well, and that's when the federal government, I'm not a big fan
yeah,
of big government. I'm not a fan of more power to the government at all. But that situations like that where states are
Because
fighting
it's all contract based.
is when the feds need to step in and say, hey, wait a minute. Yes, you're California. Yes, you're Nevada. Yes, you're Texas, but we're all Americans.
Yeah.
And we need to provide support for all Americans. That's what the Fed should be doing. Are they doing that?
No, but it's like if you're going to cut all these other places off that are using it, but you don't get to cut off because your original contract said, so and so back in 1942 or whatever. like that ain't fair. That ain't right. Especially how wasteful California is. I mean, hell, fuck. You know?
No, I get what you're saying.
Like the amount of agriculture that they use out there for literally no reason, and it's like just taking all the resources just because of how big they are. But it's like at the same time, it's like you shouldn't be able to screw everybody else just because you want to keep living at your same comfort level.
It is like post-COVID specifically, because everything after COVID became so like almost like a caricature of itself. But with how liberal California is going, they're banning all gas-fueled engines by 2032, 35, right? It was like, okay.
Yeah, 2035.
That's insane to me based on, I have a very basic understanding of all of this, but so what? If not, you're telling me that if not every car company is able to convert 100% of their fucking inventory. What's your plan with that?
They won't go convert 100%, but they'll only be able to sell so much into the state of California.
Exactly. And then in California, where they already have such a tanked state economy, how does that look after 2035? You know what I mean?
I mean, it looks like each manufacturer is only going to sell 3 different types of vehicles. And 2 of them are going to go to California and 1 will go everywhere else.
And that's scary.
And as a car guy, that hurts. That hurts so bad.
What's
so,
scary?
Did you see that thing when Biden went to the Detroit Auto Show?
No.
With Chevy or GM? So he posted this thing and the caption on Instagram, because I follow him on Instagram, I'll see what's up. And it said, it's like, you all know that I'm a big car guy. And he was taking a picture in front of a Z06, which is not that environmentally friendly. And it's not electric. And then he started talking. I was talking to these car companies about electric cars, whatever. And the only electric car that was there was one of Cadillac's that they're, coming out with, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But talking all this, and it's like, dude, you are literally, your administration, especially with how much bigger the EPA and, the more power the administration is giving them, is literally destroying small businesses, destroying all this. And you're like, oh, I'm a big car guy. Look at all this cool stuff. And it's like, dude, the exact thing that you are trying to show off and look cool on Instagram for is what's like destroying everything else. Like it was like the most hypocritical thing I've ever seen in my life. And there's another guy, that I just saw on Instagram and goes by the name of Corey Willis PPI on Instagram. You won't know.
Yeah.
Car guy stuff.
Yeah. No,
But he is probably one of the best performance tuners for the Duramax engine platform, which is a diesel motor found inside a Chevy 3/4 ton and 1 ton trucks. Dude's a wizard when it comes to that stuff, right? And so the Biden administration, when they built a new beast, which is their armored Cadillac.
Yeah. Okay, I've heard of that.
Yeah, the armored Cadillac is just on a 1 ton Chevy frame with a Cadillac body over it, and it's Duramax powered. So they went to him and they're like, it needs more power, it needs more reliability, because the president's going in it. Makes sense, right? So they deleted it. No emission systems. It is tuned. It is hopped up. It has, CP3 conversion, which is like an injection pump. So everything to make more power, more reliability, but it causes more pollutants. But, it's one of those things. That's why all the civilians want to do it, because it's more reliability into your $100,000 truck investment. It's more fuel economy, so you can save a little more money at the pump, and it's more power because that's just fun. And so they had this beast go over, and they went to him, which makes sense because he's the best, right? And did it. He was like, yeah, I don't agree with Biden by any sense, but I thought it would be super cool to do this project for the president of the United States. I'm like, yeah, that's super cool.
Right.
He did it. They turned around, they hit him with like $1 million fine for all the other stuff he's doing for the civilian market. That's this whole thing when the liberals talk about, the rich get richer and the poor get poor. It's like, yeah, that's true. But that's true on so many different levels, as in these mom and pop companies that are not even companies, shops that are a 2-bay shop sitting over there that like doing performance stuff that the EPA is like, cool, yeah, I know you guys don't net that much profit and you do this performance stuff, but we caught you selling an aftermarket ECU to one of our undercover agents, and now we're gonna hit you with a $500,000 fine. And it's like, Dude, they have 3 employees at $100 to $500,000 fines for selling an ECU, not even doing the work, not even removing the emission stuff, just selling the parts so people could take it into their own hands and do it.
And do what they want.
And do what they want. If it's against the law and they want to break the law, let them break the law.
Do what they want.
But it's like, yeah, that's another kind of way. And Joey, he brought up a good point. He's like, if it's a ticketable offense, it means that it wasn't for the rich.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're still able to own private jets, still able to own yachts. You know how many thousands of gallons an hour a yacht burns of diesel? It's like 1,000 gallons an hour or something like that, depending on how big the yacht is. And an airplane, a private jet on takeoff, when they go full lock, full throttle to, get up, that will pollute probably 10 times the amount that a deleted diesel truck will once. Its whole lifetime. Its whole lifetime of that truck, from dealership to being deleted to going, and going back to the earth, that one takeoff will do it 10 times over. But that's all illegal still. So it's like, yeah, the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer for a lot of those reasons too.
Well, it's the same. It's become a meme, but it's a strong point in my opinion. It's, all these politicians, world leaders, ambassadors, whatever the fuck you want to call them, presidents. They go to these conferences about climate change and
On
about,
private jets.
Exactly, and like ecology, all on private jets. You'll have all of these celebrities who preach and teach and go up and down about saving the environment, saving the fucking fish, and ba-da.
Yeah,
but
and
they all go to the Oscars in what? Their private jets, in their fucking expensive ass cars.
But it's like,
And it's fine. But no, my opinion.
but
hang on.
yeah, and it's fine. It's okay. If
It's
you
like
want to do
more
it, but you're
power
gonna,
to you.
But you're gonna go and you're gonna try hitting me with fines, or because I want to take the cats off my truck, or I want to delete my BMW. It's like, now I'm the bad guy.
Well, it's not even that.
It's like
that's a more extreme. But I'm just like, do what you want. Seriously, do what the fuck you want. Seriously, but do not stand on the platform that you have and be like, we need to fix the fucking the environment's like, bro, you don't. We know you don't care.
yeah, and see,
It's fine.
yeah, and that all just makes sense to me too, because it's
Like, let the monkeys die. Like we know you don't care.
But no, it's not even that. It's the fact that we haven't, renewed a bunch of, claims to go drill on. I think Biden did finally go do some offshore ones, but not at the same capacity, and killing the pipeline and killing all this stuff. And it's like, you do realize we're all in like the same world. And if one world pollutes here, like it's still the world. And like all these other countries are going to drill and they're going to refine, and they're going to do it with no OSHA regulations, no EPA regulations. They're going to do it in the cheapest, dirtiest, most harsh environment that they possibly can to make the most money. But here in America, when we do it as by the book. When we force companies to buy the most expensive filters, have EPA overwatch, have all this different stuff to make sure it's as environmentally friendly as physically as possible, but we won't do it. We'll allow the other people to pollute. So we feel good about ourselves that we're doing something.
Okay, so I need to pee so fucking
I
bad.
need to pee too. Let's take a break.
Let's take a break. Okay.
Want to pee together?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so I think that's actually a good point that not a lot of people really talk about, is the fact that, look, America tries to set a good example. We try to set a lot of regulations and a lot of this, that, and the other for the way we extract oil, for the way that we get energy, whatever it is. But most of the world is not doing that.
No, not at all.
Not to say that we should just say fuck it and say fuck the environment. I think it's very noble, but
Yeah.
like it's interesting with the lack of, with the amount of credibility that America is actively losing every day right now. I think it's very interesting that with the they're not even like charades anymore. They're just like these empty gestures that are like trying to prop us up properly, but even then it's not that great.
Well, no, it's gotten to the point to where even, people have their heels dug in so far now that it doesn't matter what's said or what's done or what actions is. You're going to follow it and defend it to the death just because that's your team. So it doesn't even matter. But yeah, that's just what I was saying, is like, why put a bunch of people out of work And why buy from somebody else when they're going to do it worse, at a less quality, more expensive? And then the people that are working there will be more harsh environments. They're going to destroy the environment far worse because they don't have any type of oversight at all. And so they're going to do it the cheapest. And usually the cheapest means, the dirtiest.
Well, what scares me a lot is, so they're pushing so hard on the electric vehicle stuff, but the amount of resources and the amount of damage that is done to extract the lithium and every other element that we need to make these batteries is doing more damage than what would be done if we just kept doing what we were doing with the fossil fuels. And then what's really scary, so when all of this Russia versus...
And that's another thing, is new vehicles are so good at, even though I don't like emission systems on my vehicles because it does kill the reliability and everything else, but they are so good that they don't emit very much at all when they're burning those fossil fuels.
Right.
So it's like I don't know how much worth it is doing compared to how much pollution is becoming.
Well, because what's worrying about, so the conspiracy side of me thinks that they want us all to get on electric vehicles so they can control us better. Case in point, though, my piece of evidence to back that up, though, is when Russia and Ukraine, when this whole conflict really first started and it became legitimate, right? When they really started pushing further into Ukraine, started giving them a lot of money, the government approached Elon Musk and he outed them. They approached Elon Musk and was like,
would you be able to do this?
Yeah, is it possible for you to turn off all the Tesla vehicles in Russia, just hypothetically? Is that a real thing? And he was like, yeah, but I'm not going to do it.
They asked him about Starlink too, doing that, right?
Yes.
Being able to shut all that off as well?
Yes, being able to shut off, or not shut off, but they wanted to know if he was able to block communications and block any internet access in Russia. Because that was just after he gave the Ukraine free Wi-Fi. Which, okay, hang on. He just gave a country free Wi-Fi?
Easy, yeah.
You know how crazy that is? And so you'd have to imagine, just to go off on a little bit of a tangent here, you would have to imagine that at one point he approached the American government and was like, yo, I could totally just give you guys Wi-Fi. It's not the best Wi-Fi, but I mean, Wi-Fi can finally become a public utility that we just like running water.
Yeah, it's necessary in this day and age,
yeah,
for sure.
We can do it. Do you want it? And not just one person, but a lot of people had to have said no, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely fucking bonkers to me, because I really do think that at this point, exactly what you just said, it's essential, it's necessary, it's needed. Why isn't
Wi-Fi is one of those things too, dude, that it's super efficient.
Well, you need it to do everything.
But just how efficient Wi-Fi actually is, if you really think about it, how it can just connect the whole world through, Elon Musk's is, satellite based and stuff like that, but even just traditional, that's fiber based and stuff like that. Just how one, 96 strand piece of fiber can come into a whole city, and from there just branch out and give everybody stuff. Just one little thing can connect a whole city to the world.
When you talk about that, are you talking about the fiber optic cable?
Yeah.
Or okay.
It's just that's just still blows my mind. It's just how not simple, but how, I guess, easy in a way, how you can just bring in just one cable into a city, and that whole city now has Wi-Fi, has communications to the world.
Well, it has to be a little more complicated than that.
Of course it's complicated, but it's just the cable in and of itself could be that big, coming into a whole city and giving it Wi-Fi.
So
internet access to the world.
One of the things I kind of want to close on, I think this is a good topic, because you obviously know a lot more about this than I do. Because the reason that I didn't even think it was a thing anymore, to be honest. But a friend of mine who lives up in Santa Fe, she kind of lives out in the sticks, and so their Wi-Fi isn't.
It's probably DSL based.
Yeah, it's all based by satellite.
Oh.
Yeah, it's all satellite based Wi-Fi.
Yeah, when I lived in Taos, that's how ours was too, because we didn't have any type of fiber.
There's the fiber optics doesn't reach out there.
It's not that it doesn't reach; it just hasn't been brought.
That's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, it just hasn't been brought, dude. Like that was another thing. So like I grew up in Taos, and I was just up there not too long ago, up by our old house, because we live kind of in the mountains or whatever, and they'll bring they'll bring fiber on the telephone poles. And you can see them on the telephone poles. Like if you ever see those big loops that are in the telephone poles, and then they have like a big box that hangs below them, that's fiber. And those boxes are splice boxes. That's where they splice the fiber together. And then they'll usually have like an amplifier that's taking power from the pole to amplify that signal and send it again. And then they do those big loops. Those are service loops, just in case anything was to ever happen right there. You know, that thing got struck by lightning, fell down, broke the fiber. You have a loop that you could pull out and re-splice. I was driving up there. I was like, wow, they finally brought fiber up here, and you can see it all on the poles and stuff like that. So that's all it is. They just haven't just brought it yet.
Yeah, no, that's a good.
So that means it's expensive, and it takes a lot of manpower, and it takes all this. But yeah, just that one piece of fiber sitting on those poles can go connect a whole city to the world. I mean, there's literally fiber that they dropped in the 70s off a fucking boat across the freaking ocean to connect it to different countries. Like that's how internet is done. It's all done through fiber that's underneath the freaking ocean, all the way to another country. Satellite's a little bit different. Satellite, you'll receiver, send it up to a satellite, bounces it off, send it to another receiver, and then maybe into fiber to somewhere.
But even then, you're sending a signal to space.
Yeah. But as far as like the fastest speeds possible, it's always going to be fiber. Nothing will ever beat fiber.
But no, it's right. But either way.
I mean, and that's the thing. You can even send it through phone lines. Like a lot of places are all DSL. It's still all phone lines that were put in the 70s and 80s, and you can still get decent speed out of them. Like it's just crazy how you can send it. You can even send. That was one thing people were even like experimenting with to give like everywhere Wi-Fi, no matter where you are, is you can technically send Wi-Fi through power cables that are like powering your lights and stuff. It diminishes it because there's like, an interference with power. But yeah, you could technically have like that light be a wireless access point. That just Wi-Fi is going through the actual power. So when you're walking through buildings, because power is all around you. It's underground, it's in the poles, it's in the stores, the street lights. Like theoretically, you could send Wi-Fi signals all through those. So you would have Wi-Fi everywhere, to the point to where you might not even need cellular anymore. Wow. Yeah, crazy.
Well, so that's fucking wild.
Like, you ever seen those plugs? It's like Wi-Fi extenders. Like let's just say you had a circuit, an electrical circuit that came from downstairs that also went to like upstairs. You could like literally plug in a thing to receive Wi-Fi, send it through that circuit, and then you could almost have like another router upstairs and pull Wi-Fi off of that, going through an actual electrical circuit that's going somewhere else. So yeah, it's cool.
So I didn't expect any of that. And that's fucking wild. But I think that adds what I was going to say originally with whether you're doing it through a fiber optic cable going through the ocean, or you're sending signals up to a satellite in space, or if we ever find a way to do it like that, which is fucking crazy to me.
We can, it's just not super efficient.
At the end of the day, that's still humans doing that. It's the same thing that like we were talking about a little bit earlier, where like they're building the hospital. They're laying all these foundations. They're doing what you guys are doing.
It's super cool, but it's also super scary at the same time.
It's still humans, and that's
like
wild.
I'll just tell you this: like every single day that you go out in the world, there's a camera watching you. Every single place you go.
Oh well, yeah.
Like there is no more privacy anymore.
That doesn't worry me. I'll be honest. That doesn't. I kind of figured that was the moment that.
And then there's AI software that can literally specifically look for you.
Right. Like, oh no, for sure.
Like, what was that movie with God's Eye?
Eagle Eye.
No.
With Shia LaBeouf.
No, there was another one. I think it was Fast and Furious. Now that I think about it, it was one of the Fast and Furious.
Oh, because it was Russell. It was Kurt Russell that was like, they have the God's Eye.
Yeah.
And they're gonna,
We're pretty close to that, buddy.
Well, no, and that doesn't. Oh, I've been reading about. See, the DC Comics version of that is called Brother Eye.
Yeah,
and
I know what you're talking about.
That Batman
I haven't read
created
it or anything, but I've like heard about
Batman created it, and it went rogue, and it was kind of like an Age of Ultron moment. But the moment they put a camera on my Nintendo DS is when, as a kid, I was like, "This isn't so I can take selfies. Why do we need a camera on a handheld Game Boy?"
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's strange to me. It's strange, but it's fascinating where all of this is going. And yeah, again, we're able to send signals to space to come back down, and then it connects us to Google.
But that's not even that crazy, man. We've had satellite TV for years.
Yes.
You're having a dish on top of your house send a signal to space. Like, I don't know, for some reason I feel like once you actually know like how fiber works and just how much like you'll have like there's these like splice huts that are in the middle of nowhere. They can be in the middle of the desert, 100 miles out from anything, and all they are is just a hut in the middle of the desert. That fiber comes up to you and has a bunch of switches in it, and there's a bunch of splices, and that's where like there's one point that can amplify the signal, and you can test from there. You can do all kinds of stuff from there and send it back out again, and it's just in the middle of fucking nowhere. So just like how you physically, you have something physical that's just connecting the whole world. Wow. Like it's just that much work. So that just goes to show you how much manpower humans take to go do certain things. To literally run a physical object, a cord, if you will, to everywhere. To literally everywhere. And it's just some dude sitting there running it, splicing it, testing it. It going everywhere.
It's fucking fascinating to me.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, I'm I'm sorry that we fucking took 2 hours ahead of schedule. And
I was already ready for bed.
Ahead of schedule.
You're like,
to
no,
fucking
let's
do
do
it.
this. I was like, I kind of want to go to bed.
No, but I'm glad that we did. And that's the funny thing is like we're gonna cut the cameras, but then we're still in the same house that we're fucking living in, which is hilarious to me. But I'm glad that we did this and we got to sit down and actually I got to pick your brain a little bit about what you do and your perspective on it. 'Cause I think it's unique. I do.
Yeah. So I think it's different from anyone else you had on. Not a musician, can't play guitar. Not a philosopher, don't think about cool stuff. Not extremely smart, but hey, unions, they're pretty cool.
No, dude, I think you're smart as shit, to be honest. But
yeah, I'm pretty smart.
well, I appreciate it, buddy. I'm sure we're gonna have a couple more drinks before we pass out.
Yeah, for sure. I'm up now.
Yeah, right. Same. So it was a pleasure, dude. And thank you guys for watching as usual. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.